Welcome to But For Real, a variety show podcast co-hosted by two therapists who also happen to be loudmouth feminists. I'm Valerie, your resident elder millennial child-free cat lady.
And I'm Emerson, your resident chronically online Gen Z brat. And on the show, we'll serve up a new episode every other week that will take you on a wild ride through the cultural zeitgeist, mental health, and beyond.
You'll definitely laugh and TBH sometimes maybe cry a little because this is a silly and serious show.
Buckle up, my friends, and let's get into today's episode.
Well, hello.
Well, Shmello. We all have fairy hair, everyone.
Oh my God.
And we all can't stop talking about it. It's probably both of our tea and Crumpets. I'm like, yeah!
I love it. Yeah, even our video people probably can't see from this far away. But
I'm going to say, my shit is in the... I did these little buns, and I was like, I feel so fun. And then I caught a glimpse of the back of my head, and I was like, maybe the back of my head is my business. And I need to be paying attention to her more. Because I always exist with, the back of my head is not my fucking business. Who cares? But today I was like, well, maybe it should be. My inner critic was like, girl, it should be.
You carry around a little mirror so that you can do, the double mirror look.
It's kind of a jump scare.
Yeah. No, it's fun. There's the brand that does the tinsels, at our Nashville Pride.
Yes.
They have little franchise locations kind of sprinkled throughout the country, I feel like, at least regionally, but I feel like it's pretty far spread.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They're really fun. Finkelpot's Fairy Hair.
For sure.
Go check them out. They're sweet.
Next year's summer gathering, we're just going to have Finkelpots come out.
And thank God you said it, because I've been waiting for you to say it. I'm like, I've been subliminally just sending you messages. I'm like, see.
Yeah.
Okay. Our little farting intro aside, I have an actual intro question that is pertaining to our topic today. It's multiple questions because in therapy you're supposed to just ask one question, but I'd be asking them. Yeah, I'd be asking many at a time. What is one of your earliest memories of money? Did you have an allowance, and were you taught to budget, or did you just have to figure it out yourself?
Okay. So I do recall having a piggy bank.
Sure.
And
plan an event.
Yeah. And where did I hear this recently? I'm sure on a podcast of some kind, but some joke about I'm not sure if this was still a thing in your era, especially with your international schooling.
Sure.
But in my era, as an elder millennial, the Scholastic Book Fair
was
life-changing.
Yes.
And it was you better save up that money because I am going to want as many books as possible from this book fair. Sure.
Right? Or just the toot that comes with it, the little stickers and shit.
So, that was one of my earliest memories, was just and then I was a catalog queen as a child.
Okay, I was too.
Yeah. Moxie Girl, Delia's, all the things. I do think, I had an allowance, but I don't even have any fucking memory of what it was.
Sure.
And then... my parents were so wonderful in so many ways, and I'm sure they tried at some point to tell me some about money, but if so, it went in one ear and out the other.
Honey.
Yes. And so I do wish I'd gotten a little bit more, but also they were doing a lot in a lot of other ways, and so some of that I've been trying to teach myself for the last 20 years.
Literally. Quite literally.
What about you?
When I posed this, I was like, what is my earliest memory of money? And then I was kind of laughing because I was like, I was running a tight ship. I was an only child for 6.5 years before my little sister came along. So I was just like, the world revolves around me, mama.
If I want it, you get it.
Honey, if I want it, I got it. And so I was spoiled. I'm the eldest daughter. I was the first girl grandchild on both sides. So I feel like it was kind of moolah baby for me. But I remember just having paper money, fake money, being a little cashier. And I was just my imaginary friends, I was get through this fucking line quickly. And then my mom's coming with her fake groceries. And I'm chewing gum. I'm irritated with her. I'm debit or credit, just all of that. I'm give me your coins. And so I feel like my really early memories of money was just play. And I don't even know when I started to actually just be cognizant of it. I'm just maybe the same. My mom would give me that fat catalog and I would be you're
circle,
kidding.
circle.
And I remember, like, looking at the price, but I was just like, this isn't real. Like, I was just like, it's toys. So I'm really just like, when was the shift, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, I cringe thinking back to those days because, like, I was spoiled, and I don't even think it was because my parents, by my nature, were the kind of parents who would spoil a child. I think I was just that bratty and, like, I need this, I need that, and if I don't get it, I'm going to be so sad.
2 copies of Titanic. I will never forget that about you.
So yes. I like to think I've grown.
Well, sure. And allowance, kind of the same thing. I was like, I know at one point I had one. It was tour chart style, but I was like, Mom, fuck the rules. I can't deal with this. They were like, do this for money.
I'm doing my best, Mom.
And I was like, Mom, literally, kind of fuck you. I don't want to do this. And so that didn't last long. And then kind of same with budgeting. Surely there was a conversation at some point, but I was just like, I'm in college. Ooh. Money is not real. What do you mean?
Right. And especially, like, I don't know if this was the case for you, but, like, in college, I was so fortunate and so grateful that, like, I was not responsible for most of my must-have expenses, like groceries or apartment. Mm-hmm. I think I started to take over some of those things at some point, but in college, but, like, for the most part, if I needed it, it was covered. Oh, and so then all my fucking money was disposable income. Everything that I got from my job. Yep. Which, like, hello, should have been real easy math for me to realize that come graduation, when all the bills became mine, guess what? All that income is not disposable anymore. Mm. But it was a bit of a hard transition.
I'm rolling up, knocking on the door to the Mexican restaurant that I was getting drunk at 4 nights a week and being like, can I have some severance pay? Like, I have bills to pay for. I'm like, I'm scared.
Oh, my God.
Now it's time for our first segment, Tea and Crumpets, where we tell you what we can't stop talking about this week. I'm just annoying and boring, and I was like, what has been on my radar? Yeah. And, like, kind of nothing, which I was like, maybe that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. Yeah. And I feel like I've just kind of been, like, home. So the one thing I feel like I'm actually like, wait, physical therapists and old people at the Y, they're onto something. I'm like, I have this newfound appreciation for the old bitches at the Y. I'm like, you guys know something about joints and mobility. Let me tell you what. I'm in the water and I'm like stretching and I'm like, okay, I like fucked my knee up by falling into a pool. So the pool hurt me, and also now it's going to heal me. This is, you know, I kind of think about second chances. You know, we got to give it a chance.
Going to the abusive ex, a.k.a. the pool.
Honey, that cycle, we're in it real bad. So I've been spending a lot of time in the pool, and it's just been hot as balls. So I'm like, me and the pool are so locked in right now. I'm doing my mobility routine in there, and it's actually really helpful. Like, I feel like I get out, and I'm like, okay, this feels better. This feels good. I'm like, phew, a minor injury when you're in your I'm still in my mid-20s. I don't know. Guys, I turned 26 like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, everything's changed.
She tried to roll up and say, well, now as a person in my late 20s, I'm like, bet you literally just turned 26.
No, I literally did like 2 fucking weeks ago. So the pool has been, she hurt me, but she's also been my saving grace at this time. Okay. So do some mobility, do some stretches, everyone. Yeah. Please stretch your body as an adult.
Oh my God.
You kind of need to. Yeah. I'm learning.
I'm like, that is one of the areas where I look up to Chris, my husband, because, and some of it is just by necessity, because he's tall and lanky and his joints are just going to need a lot of help.
Yep.
But he stretches probably 30 minutes a day. And
I'm just God.
Like, sir. Yeah, like even if he has to leave home by 6:45 in the morning, he's still getting in that time.
Okay, that's dedication.
I know. Like, I work out, so that's how I spend the time.
Sure.
But I really admire the stretching because it is so good for you.
Yes.
So.
Okay, what's your tea?
My tea is I am in my Courtney Carver era. So I don't know if you know this queen. Her Instagram and blog is called Be More With Less.
Okay.
And she started blogging in like 2006 or something, or somewhere late 2000s. She was diagnosed with MS in 2006, and it was kind of crazy because she was working for this publisher where her boss had MS, and she like didn't really know much about it, but she really like admired and respected him. So, and she was like very active person, and you know, climbing mountains and doing all this shit. And so then she started training for the MS 150, raising money for MS. And then she started having all these insane medical symptoms, which at first they're like, is it stress? Is it this? Is it this? Millions of tests. And then sure enough, she has MS.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so she, of course, has to like drop out of training for this race.
Sure.
But yeah, it's such a cool story. She shares a lot of it, of course, through her blog. But her first book, Soulful Simplicity, I'm finally reading now, and it's so good. But yeah, basically it took her on this like path of like, I have to simplify my life. Sure. I literally have to find out how to reduce stress as much as possible. And so it's like the simplicity is not the point, it's a means to an end, sure. which is like, how can I have as little stress as possible living in this world that we live in? So that meant getting rid of debt, getting rid of clutter, like sizing down, and just, I mean, all of that is so appealing to me. And yet there's a part of me that pushes back so hard against it, right? Like, no, I want to do all the things. So how do I do that while also simplifying and doing less? It's tough. So I'm really kind of taking that in. Her new book, which is called Gentle something something, I forget the subtitle, but it is, if you have Spotify Premium, it is free on the audio on Spotify. So nice. I'm listening to that right now too. I'm just loving her. I feel like I need that medicine right now. And it also connects, I feel like, with our theme for today.
Yay. Yeah. I'll have to check their stuff out.
Yeah.
Now it's time for Step Into My Office, where you get advice from your favorite professionally qualified, personally peculiar therapists.
So this listener says, hey besties, I'm in my late 20s and I love my friend group. They're kind, fun, and the kind of people who send funny TikToks and check in on your mental health. But I feel like I can't afford to keep up with them anymore. Every month, it's a $70 group dinner, a multi-day bachelorette trip, a bougie birthday brunch, or a night out with everyone throwing at least $100 toward the bar tab, as if we're not all still paying off student loans, have bills to pay, etc. I've tried suggesting lower cost stuff, but it either gets ignored or it's met with a, you deserve to treat yourself, which, okay, maybe, but I also deserve to not panic when I look at my bank account. I don't want to lose these friendships, but I'm so tired of feeling ashamed or left out when I say no. Help! Love, my Venmo is crying, and so am I.
Ooh.
Relatable.
Oh my God. Been there. I feel like for sure. Okay. I'm already thinking so many things.
Yes.
One for sure been there. And I think it's hard, especially like, even just like the framing of like being in your 20s where it's like, the world is kind of gone bananas. And so it's like, maybe we should just live while we're fucking young. And it's a little bit of like, I feel like I'm having a lot of struggles, not really with this anymore, but a little bit of the struggles where it's like crossing over into, okay, now you're starting to like make a little bit of adult money and like that's kind of fun. And also I feel like lifestyle inflation really creeps up on people and like especially now when there's just I mean everything just costs astronomically more than it used to and there's so many new experiences. And so I really feel for this person. I feel like it's really hard to want to feel like you're still like living in your 20s and being with your friend group and having fun and making these memories. And when does it become really impractical and giving you panic when you're having to look at your stuff like that?
Right. And it can be, you know, all kinds of shit can come up if you were to be just like transparent. Because it sounds like in this listener's case, like, you know, these are real friends, right? These are not just like party friends.
Yeah.
But still, nonetheless, even if they're real friends, it can be really vulnerable to say like, I can't afford that.
Right.
And yet, can we fucking normalize that?
Yes.
Like, I just wish there could be more. And I mean, I've gotten better over the years at having those conversations. And there are times where it has been worth it to me to swipe that credit card. And there's times where honestly, I regret like, a wedding I didn't go to in my mid-20s when like, because the money wasn't there, but I could have swiped the card and I was honestly wish that I had, but that's like a rare occasion. Yeah. Whereas all of the death by 1,000 paper cuts is more all of the little things that I was just like, oh, it's happening, I'll do it. And I should have said, actually, I can't afford that, right?
Yeah.
To myself and maybe to my friend, right?
Sure.
So I hope that we can normalize that because I think if they're not hearing you or they're being like, oh, just treat yourself. Like,
yeah.
Because here's the thing. We never know. Like, and we can't assume. Comparison is a bitch. It's rarely helpful. But the reality is we're going to do that, especially when we're looking at like well, wait, how can all of them seem to afford this and I can't?
Yes.
Sometimes, yes, they have a different financial scenario. Now, maybe they also started on third base. Maybe they had college or whatever paid for. Maybe they got an inheritance from a grandparent, whatever. Like, there's so many things that can be variable. Maybe their parents, paid for their house or whatever, right? Their car. And so there's differences there, but also in both salary and you don't know how many people appear to afford things that they actually can't, which is a lot of people, including I've been there, right?
Sure. And I feel like that's probably a really big thing right now. Like every little other part of our episodes are talking about just like perception and social media and what we blast out there to make you think that everyone's living a certain kind of life when like we aren't in their debit card and we're not in that credit card statement, girl. Yeah. We don't know, and we're not. And so I think, obviously for you listener, like there's this awareness where I think these people really care about me and I really care about them. And if there's leaning in a little bit more with that, like, dude, I just can't, or I'm seeing all this stuff, bachelorette trip, that's maybe kind of more of like an important milestone thing versus going out and blowing a ton on a bar tab, however often we're doing that, right? So maybe it's like, I really want to prioritize the important birthdays and the milestone things, and the other stuff I might just have to take a seat out for, and like, I'm sure that sucks. Like, FOMO sucks, and there's just, I don't know, like, there's not a lot of times where you can be uber financially irresponsible, especially in today's times, I feel.
Right. And the last thing I'll say on it, too, is, like, because I'm working on getting myself back on more of a budget and following the spending plan rather than, like, creating it and then being like, whatever. And
the fun is creating it, not adhering to it.
God, seriously. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in part 2 of all this. But I will say that, like, one of the parts of that is, like, I went on a sort of a group dinner recently to a place where I would say probably the average tab of most people are getting, like, dinner, drinks, multiple plates is probably per person closer to, like, $80 to $100.
Sure.
I spent $30. And, you got to be careful because some of these places are assholes about, like, tab splitting and all of that.
Yeah.
So figure out your plan for that. But, $30 plus tax and tip, I was able to get out of there for $40 as opposed to $100. And that's because I was very intentional about, like, it's important for me to be there. I'm looking at the menu ahead of time. I'm ordering the cheapest NA beer. I'm ordering the cheapest entree, and I still got to have a really good experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Without feeling like you're blowing or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care, listener, budget. And it's okay to just say the thing. Please start normalizing this shit.
Yeah.
And now it's time for the DSM. In our DSM, all varieties of dysfunction, spiraling, and meltdowns are welcome. In this segment, we break down complicated concepts and common misconceptions about mental health, well-being, and tell you what we really think.
Of course, the blurb. Our episode today is all about money, honey. So, how we're influenced to think about the construct of money, financial well-being, and then, of course, balancing all of this in the modern landscape of consumerism and capitalism. Whew. I'm scared. The 2 C words we're all screaming about.
Oh my God.
So, I feel like for this episode, of course, in my mind, I was like, yeah, there's psychology behind money, but then I was like, there's psychology behind money, for
there's
real.
Some shit that people have researched. And,
yes. So one of the things I wanted to kick off with, and I had no idea what this was until I started researching for this episode, and I thought it was really cool. So Dr. Brad Klontz.
He's the shit.
He's kind of the shit in, like, the financial psychology world. So he created, alongside some other, brilliant researchers, the Money Script Inventory, or the Klontz MSI. So this is an inventory, and it kind of specifically boils down to 4 scripts. So script schemas, or whatever the things that influence how we think about individuals carry beliefs about money. And so kind of framed it that these are typically developed in childhood, are intergenerationally passed down, are typically unconscious, and a factor that drives most of someone's financial decisions in adulthood. The link will be in the show notes for the paper. It's so interesting to see how they break down by, like, race, demographic, different things like that. And so the 4 scripts that they pulled from, first is money avoidance. So this is the kind of money is bad or I do not deserve money. So this is someone that avoids spending money on necessary purchases. Again, really necessary purchases, like stuff they need.
Does not meet their needs.
Does not meet their needs. And is really worried about credit card usage. Just like very fixated and nervous about the money that they have. Money worship is kind of more money will solve all my life's problems. Which,
wait, it won't?
I know, I'm scared of it. I feel like it kind of, every cultural aspect, I don't know, young people, anyone. Right. I feel like I have my own moments of money worship. Yeah. I think this is like a pretty normal one. But this is kind of, if it's a real serious script in your mind, one can never have enough money. And this script may often be associated with hoarding, gambling, and compulsive overspending, which is like an interesting kind of deviation. Money status. Of course, money is status. So really concerned with the association of self-worth and net worth, and really prioritizing those outward displays of wealth and materialism. Shout out social media. I feel like social media is all money status nowadays.
Yes.
And then money vigilance. So this is excessive wariness about money or financial dangers, perceived or real threats. Also, I thought was interesting hiding how much money you have. Not discussing money with spouse or family members. Frugality and saving is good, but kind of this excessive overdoing leads to a ton of anxiety and inability to enjoy the security and accessibility that money brings. So even just all of those 4 scripts, and I think none of them are hard and fast. I feel like everyone can kind of pick, maybe I'm kind of a bit of both, or maybe I actually feel at different points of my life. In my 20s, I was this. In my 30s, I was that. So it really just depends. And again, kind of bleeds into those like family of origin dynamics or like the emotional money legacies. So in the cultural kind of things, or just like the real parts of like hide packages from dad, you know, like there's like literal welcome mats that are like, shh, hide the packages from my husband, you know, and just like in a way that it's a joke, but then in a way that it's
mommy
not.
Wine
mommies.
Like, why are we joking about this?
I know. And like a little kid is wearing like, my mom basically fucking hates me and is drunk. I'm like, I'm scared. Like, so very much that like hide the packages or milestone money. I always like to talk about with folks. So wedding, graduation, any kind of money that comes in as a gift or inheritance money sometimes. It's a gift, but seemingly isn't a gift and comes with a ton of conditions. I feel like definitely weddings, people talk about that a lot where, you know, who can be pleased with what and what the expectations are.
And inheritance money too of like, God. How much peace do I need to keep to stay in this person's will?
Yes, kind of tea. Witnessing parents or caregivers or people, you know, close in your life going through financial strain or yourself going through financial strain. Money is a high contributing factor for a lot of conflict in long-term relationships and divorce. And just in general, like if money was something talked about in any kind of capacity when you were growing up, did you witness your caregivers incessantly stressed about money? Did you witness your caregivers in a lot of money worship and status? And how did that make you feel when you were younger of, I need to be pushed to pursue this career in order to make my parents happy that I make a lot of money? Or can I make a lot of money to now provide for my family because we always struggled in a way? So there's just so, it's deep.
Yeah, it's so deep. Oh my God. Sidebar, I'm watching White Lotus season 3. Have you watched it?
No.
Okay. Well, you know, the whole premise of White Lotus is like these very luxury resort vacation destinations. And so you're getting this really cool view of class through the lens of the vacationers, the guests, and also the staff.
Oh, okay.
Right? And sometimes you're getting a little bit of different cultural elements based on like this season 3 is in Thailand.
Sure.
But yeah, there's Parker Posey's character in season 3. She is a fucking hoot because she's playing this like Southern belle. And so she just has this refrain of like, are they decent people? Well, I think they're decent. And I'm like, oh my God, so coded for are they white and wealthy, right? Class,
Ding,
class,
ding,
class,
ding.
class. And race. So yeah, that was just on my mind hearing all of those like status and worship things.
Oh yeah.
It's a pretty compelling exploration of like the class stuff. It's really interesting. Okay, so one thing we wanted to touch on is the whole like scarcity and abundance mindset, right?
Vocal fry.
Oh my god,
I love vocal fry.
I'll get there when we talk about our abundance mindset for sure. So scarcity mindset. Most of us kind of know what this is, but generally feeling like there's never enough, whether it is time scarcity, money scarcity. Those were the biggest places that those show up, but could also be like relationships, etc. And this can show up even when it's more psychological than it is factual. So certainly we know there are real issues with income inequality, poverty, people, the minimum wage being way too fucking low, not having a living wage, all of that, like scarcity.
You can budget your way out of being fucking poor.
Exactly. So scarcity is real. And also there is perceived scarcity and ways that we can get hooked in our brain where it's like, no matter how much is there, if I am panicking about it, it's probably not really helping.
Yep.
Right? So even situations like someone gets a promotion, someone gets an inheritance money or a brand deal or whatever, and it can feel like you're somehow losing something because they're gaining. And so people will sometimes say, especially in the whole abundance world, of like, it's not a pie, like it's not like, and I'm like, well, but money kind of on a sociological level kind of is a pie. Like there's only so much.
Indeed.
But, when we get really at an individual level hooked into thinking like that, whether we're conscious of it or not, it can keep us kind of in this unhelpful scarcity place. And then when we're in that place, we can often feel this sort of deprivation, which then can cause us to rebel. Like just like a diet, right? Where we're like, fuck that. Like, I don't want to be on a diet. That makes me want to eat everything.
Yep.
We try to put ourselves on a quote unquote budget and then we rebel. And we're like, no, that feels too restrictive. I can't be on a budget, right? Which is why I love words like money map and conscious spending plan, because it doesn't need to be that energy of deprivation, right? Yes. It is intentionality. But we are, when we are budgeting, if we get too caught up in scarcity mindset, then we are really focused on the deficits, the lack, as opposed to, wow, it's pretty fucking cool that I can pay $50 a month or whatever it is and have my lights turn on. Like, we take a lot of shit for granted, right? Yeah. Especially in industrialized countries where it's like, you're middle class, you are more fortunate than the vast majority of the world, right?
Oh my God, sure.
So there are also things relate to scarcity, like under earning, and that's like a really big, it's an interesting topic, because this is not to say that like, if you're not making a lot of money, there's something wrong with you. But there are some people who sort of like have a deep internalized pattern where it is hard for them to allow themselves to earn more money. Mm-hmm. So for instance, the person who spent $300,000 on a law degree and then, takes every pro bono client that comes their way, reduces their rate for everyone. That's big in our field too.
Sure.
And so it's, sometimes there are things where under-earning, and there's entire books about it, Overcoming Under-Earning by Barbara Stanny. There's, of course, real intergenerational poverty that can, create that, like you were saying before, that's one of the scripts where, or the scripts can all be intergenerational. But if you come from generations of poverty and scarcity, it's not that it's impossible to climb out of. It's just that, you're starting from a lower point, and that's going to often have an impact on your mindset in addition to what's actually happening in your financial world. Okay, so then we have abundance mindset, which we love. Oh my God. I will not name this money coach, and I will say that I bought her $2,000 course. Why? Because I was in a period where I thought maybe what will fix my money issues is just being in a better abundance mindset. And this person, like, she talks about, like, money fucking loves you. And I'm like, girl, money does not money doesn't give a
money
shit
doesn't
about
have
any of us. I'm sorry. But yeah,
money lives in a printer.
I mean, yes. So it's hard because, like, sure, we can look at how, if you are constantly in scarcity mindset, are there ways where that might be holding you back? Sure. But is shifting into abundance mindset going to fix your money problems? No, it will maybe fix some of them, but probably the minority of them.
Yes.
So, generally being in an abundance mindset, not just with dollars, is helpful, right? Because it's about noticing what you have and being grateful for what
gratitude.
You have. Yes. And that's like the abundance that's available to all of us. I talk about this with my best friend Liz a lot, where we're just like walking through the woods together, and we're like, when I think of abundance, I think of this.
Yes.
I think of the woods. I think of the wildflowers. I think of the wealth of laughing with friends, right? Like that is an abundance. And that's not to say that, like, to gaslight yourself of like, well, if you have those things, you have nothing to complain about, right? Sure. It's just recognizing that, allowing yourself to be in a place of, gratitude can seem like such a buzzword, but it's truly, it will have a positive influence on your life.
Yes.
Is it going to fix your overspending issues? No. So you're still going to have to do the work on the tactical stuff. But, working on your mindset is helpful, but it's just very frustrating how that whole world of manifestation and abundance mindset it's massive in the online world, especially when you get into business coaching and the business coaches being like, if you believe in your prosperity, like, then you'll say yes to this, $100K coaching package with me. It's the pyramid, right?
Sure.
So I have always loved this quote on manifestation. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's white privilege, right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every time there's like a certain time when my algorithm hits where it's like, stop, this video is for you. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I'll have to tell myself out loud, it's not for me. Keep going, because there is going to be some queen that's like, I pulled this tarot card and it's telling me you're going to be rich. And I'm like, lady, I'm scared of you. So, yeah, the impacts of the algorithm and just, I don't know, kind of, we could not talk about this in part one without talking, of course, about capitalism and how all of this impacts the self-worth pieces. So I pulled this blog, and it'll be in the show notes, from Medium, from Bailey Aaron Gurley. I hope that's how you say your name. It's spelled kind of fierce. Just really focusing, again, on that financial worth being conflated with personal worth. And so I found it really interesting. She was talking about living in London and introducing oneself by your name, and kind of the next immediate question was, what's your postal code? What's your zip code?
Whoa.
To see what neighborhood you live in.
Yikes.
And I really sat with that, and I was like, oh, I'd never thought of that before, when I'm like, hey, I'm Emerson, and, what part of town do you live in? I never would have thought asking someone in that way. To me, this is my neurodivergent self, where I'm like, this is the script. This is the next thing you ask someone when you're, like, meeting someone new. Not to be, like, judgy about where they live.
Class. I need to know which class you're in.
I was like, what the fuck? So she talked about that, or how she kind of messed with introducing herself by a specific job title. And she talked about, just briefly, of when she talked about, working as a charity employee, people were like, oh, okay. And then as she's introducing herself as, like, a chief executive director, everyone's like, oh, and, like, leaning in. Yeah. So it just is, like, that real life part where, like, we're not crazy. Like, this shit for real does happen, and it is embedded in Western culture for sure, and other cultures for sure. But just, like, those snap judgments of status. So, and I really liked, again, how she talked about she sustained an injury and was noticing how her internal voice was shifting very judgmentally. And I think probably anyone can relate to this in some kind of way, but was shifting from, I'm like a leader, and I am like, a contributing member of society. And it just turned into, I'm just like this unproductive person, just like on the unemployment line, just like from here to here, and just so much judgment. And I think probably anyone that's dealing with money challenges or career stuff, how quickly the shifts happen because we have real world experiences that evidence some of those things. And it's really hard to sit with that stuff. So that's one thing I was kind of thinking about with kind of the personal worth. And then just in general, hustle culture, the grind, toxic productivity. We feel like we should be monetizing every little hobbit and fart and hobby that we have. I'm just like, every hobbit. I'm like, okay, we're sitting here and someone's having a fart and they're like, I should stream this and make money off of it. I'm like, okay, whatever happened to just like be existing? Yeah. Crafting, creating literally for pleasure is, it's now lazy or not the grind or not putting yourself ahead. I feel like that's a big thing. Yeah. I'm like, ahead of what?
And every creator of any kind, every self-employed person, every entrepreneur is constantly getting this message, charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. So it's like, well, how are we not supposed to conflate our worth with like the number in our account, right?
It's nutty.
I hate that message. Like, I get it comes from a place of like, don't, undercut yourself and your expertise and all of that, but like charge what you're worth is so icky to me.
It sucks. It's just not enlightening. And then of course then just like the burnout from this side hustle stacking or over monetization, what starts as an opportunity for more financial freedom for most individuals ends up pouring more money out into something to try to get one of these MLM type businesses started.
Are we going to have to do an episode on MLM?
And we will. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, it all, comes from this empowering place at first. And then I think it takes these really difficult and sinister twists that ends up really serving not a lot of people most of the time.
And then, we're therapists, so we're also going to look at the angle of financial trauma.
Yes.
Right? And oh my gosh, I'm just thinking of someone who went through a huge trauma last year, who was defrauded out of $8 million. We know someone who experienced a financial trauma of losing all of their retirement in savings to a Bitcoin fraud. So these things are happening to people all the time. Yeah. Obviously, things with inheritances can bring up really ugly sides of family dynamics and systems. That can be traumatic as well. So there's all kinds of financial trauma experiences, financial infidelity, where there's just been a lot of hiding and lying, and then all of a sudden, like, guess what? We have to file bankruptcy. So it's just really, it is a whole category of trauma. Of course, growing up with financial insecurity, which, like anything, can lead to sort of like either extreme, right? That can lead someone to like, now I need to make all the money and either hoard it or spend it all because I never got to spend. So it can go in different directions when you grew up with that kind of scarcity, real scarcity. Obviously there are things of bankruptcy and it's bankruptcy is a complicated thing because it's loaded. It's never going to be easy, but it can come with a lot of shame. It can come with a lot of feeling like you have to hide it. I mean, people get suicidal around money issues and money trauma. Of course, there's times where your income really takes a hit because of some life throws you a curveball. You're injured or sick or whatever. Financial abuse and control, whether that's from a spouse, from a parent, even as an adult child. I'm sorry, Brittany. My God, right?
Oh my God, save Brittany.
Witnessing or experiencing job loss yourself or from a caregiver, having a caregiver that prioritized work over family and quality time, and that's so tough.
Workaholism.
Yes, yeah, and just that message, especially for men and part of toxic masculinity. And I'm not saying that like every scenario where, it's like, say a family decides, hey, you're going to stay home with the kids and I'm going to go and like make sure that we're financially taken care of. I'm not saying that it goes poorly every time, but it can, right? Yes. If it feels like then that person is just absent and that is their only way of providing, then there's going to be a different type of scarcity in that family, right? Sure. And then the trauma responses that we might have, of course, hypervigilance around money spending. There could be real like fight, flight, freeze responses that show up around money. And then again, the hoarding, the impulse buying, the neglecting to spend on even basic needs that can happen. And that's sometimes even if the money is there, right? Like, Ramit Sethi in his podcast has talked with so many individuals and couples who often, yes, sometimes they are maybe not earning enough or they're in debt, but other times it's like my spouse, makes $300,000 a year and will not let us go on a vacation. Yeah. Right. So it's, those are often trauma responses in some capacity.
Yeah. Okay. Some practical tips, of course, because we always leave with tidbits for just moving towards financial well-being and categorizing it in that way. I think it's really important to start redefining wealth for you. What does it mean? Is it the security? Is it feeling autonomous with your bank account? Is it a values-aligned kind of decision for you? Is it a mixture of all of the above? What does it mean for you to have wealth? And know that your definition of that is always just going to be different than other people's. And that's okay. Really kind of titrating safety into money conversations. If you're talking with your partner or friends or family, especially getting grounded before doing your monthly budget, or, just feeling like you're doing a little bit of soft startup within yourself before engaging in conversations about finances, especially if it's a sore spot. And even if it's not, it can just feel have secrecy or shame. I really am trying to have a lot more positive conversations and safety around talking about money with friends, coworkers, whoever, because there's just so much inherent shame, I think, when it comes to finances. Again, kind of that values clarification for building your budget. My best friend Roxanne, it was so helpful when her and I were discussing budgeting not long ago, and she was like, what's it's okay to give yourself the budget for fun money. Yeah. And what is that? Yeah. What do you want to spend your money on? Yeah. Because I was in a similar situation to our Step Into My Office submission where I was like, dude, I feel like I'm blowing money on shit that I don't give a fuck about, and now I'm resentful. And she was like, stop. What is it that you actually care about? And I was like, oh, you're right. I should think about that.
Values-aligned spending.
Value spending, yes. So, continued ACT exercises in that kind of values realm. So, explore your, in a matrix style. What's your towards and away moves when it comes to exploring finances or when you're spending stuff? And then, of course, self-compassion. Please know that it's always not a one-size-fits-all, and giving yourself a little bit of grace, especially when you're trying to forge a new budget or make new decisions. It can be hard. One thing I've been enjoying is a quick body scan check-in, really simple before I tend to freeze or fawn in a lot of financial situations. And I mean, it's kind of dumb in air quotes, but even just shopping in frivolous settings, I'm prone to just being okay, and just handing the card over because I get really nervous. Yeah. And so it's been a really good exercise for me personally to take a beat and just be like, Emerson, just think about it for a sec. It's okay. I don't immediately have to launch into something. So doing a body scan or 24-hour rule, dude. We talked about this when we were talking about wish lists and shopping and consumerism, but it's okay to pause and sit on stuff for a day or more, or, in the realm of overspending. And it's okay if you find yourself underspending to sit on that a little bit instead of just turning it inward and avoiding it and going from there. Yep. And so, just taking pause is good. And of course, we covered, oh my God, we're barely scratching the surface on this topic. So we're definitely going to do a part 2 of this little topic of this series, and we're going to be talking about spending, debt, and saving, and for that mythical place called retirement.
What is she?
Who is she?
But for real,
of course,
money is a construct.
Yes.
But it's also really a necessary skill set that everyone comes from widely different backgrounds, exposure, life experiences. It is never too late to learn these skills to protect your financial well-being. Start making changes in sustainable ways that honor your needs and still leave some room for wants.
Hallelujah.
And now, our musical segment. Now that's what I call Okay, where Emerson and I each share a song with each other each week as representatives of our respective generations. We tell you a little bit about the song or artist, and then we press pause, we share the song with each other, and then we come back for our live reaction. And we're capturing it all on a Spotify playlist linked in the show notes for you.
I, of course, had to put 7 Rings by Ariana Grande. I don't know if you've heard this. I feel like this was pretty big. You might have heard it. So this is from her 5th studio album, Thank You Next, released in 2019. She began working on this album amidst a ton of interpersonal struggles, specifically the death of her ex-partner and rap star Mac Miller, and short-lived, quote, manic pixie relationship with Pete Davidson.
I didn't know she was one of the Pete Davidson girls.
Honey,
oh my God.
Do I have a story for you. So this album is just pure college nostalgia for me. This is like my pre-COVID. I'm going out. I'm getting drunk and crying and all this crazy shit. Exploring my own anxious attachment in relationships, hyping the girls up for the pregame. It just went fucking platinum in my 2004 Volkswagen Beetle, honey. We were locked in. So I'm excited for you to get a little bit of a different taste of Ariana Grande.
Amazing. Wow.
I know.
I mean, I feel like I'm sure I've heard that.
Sure.
But like the video, the opulence.
You have to see the video.
The lyrics. Just the I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it. I'm like, I fear that is my 20s and it's not something I'm proud of. Right?
I feel like that clip I probably had like tattooed internally in my forehead and I was like, this is my mantra.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I am 19, 20, I don't have any money. Like, what?
It's the math ain't math.
Honey, you like my hair? Gee, thanks.
Just
bought it.
Oh
Okay, what is your song?
Okay, similar vibe.
Okay.
But this is a Chris Brown cover by, at the time, it was a pop duo named Carmin with a K. I have not followed Carmin. You know, I haven't listened to new music since this came out in 2011. But she now goes by Queen Herbie. Okay. Also, why do people insist on spelling weird words in a weird way? Because she spells queen with a V instead of a W.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, a U, a V instead of a U. Queen.
Going.
And so I don't know, but Amy Noonan is her real name, or her government name. This video that came out in 2011, this is early YouTube viral.
Oh, shit.
Over 114 million views. When this came out, I was just like, I was like, I love this. It was so good. I never got good enough to, you'll see. It is fucking amazing. She went on Ellen. This was back when your shit went viral on YouTube. Yeah. You're going on
You're
Ellen.
farting, you're on Ellen.
Yeah. So, but interestingly enough, this Queen Herbie, Carmin, she did get a record deal. They played the pop game. She basically followed the rules. I saw this on a little clip on her Instagram of this like interview she did with some manifestation podcast. And then she was like, I didn't want any of that. I wanted to be real as an artist. I got into witchcraft. I got into manifestation. And look at me now. Which the irony is, Look at me now. But really, she's like, she feels like she built her success as an independent artist saying fuck you to the expectations of the industry by manifesting it. And I'm like, oh, girl, I don't know, but you're very talented. There's that too. So
we'll give her a whirl. Y'all, this little white girl just
went off.
Stepped on our necks. Yes. As she should.
Oh my God, that was
God, Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes. Watch the fuck out.
I mean, she just did the role of 3. What a fucking...
No, that's a power play. Oh, good
morning. I noticed that. Yeah, we didn't plug in our external camera today, and we almost just got in trouble for it.
Hey.
But, wow. Amazing, right?
She really was spinning. Okay, queen.
Definitely go catch that video if you have not.
It's also be on our Spotify, so 2011. I'm so surprised that I wasn't just like, rewind, you know? Like, oh, that era of YouTube is so nostalgic. Yes. Okay.
And now, for our last segment of the show, welcome to Fire Dumpster Phoenix. It is rough out there, y'all, and we need all the hope we can get. It's time to go dumpster diving for some positive news and rise from the leftover Happy Meal ashes together.
So, what's your news this week, Val?
Well, it's like the good news combined with horrible news.
Well, yes.
So the floods in Texas, which were tragic, right? And then there's this beautiful part and this silly part of any Texans know and love H-E-B. Have you heard of H-E-B?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. we are fiercely loyal to our H-E-B. It is a Texan grocery chain. I think there might be like a couple maybe across the border, but they are primarily just in Texas.
Okay.
And not even really much in North Texas. But they've been around for a long time. My dad used to be a store manager for H-E-B.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, they're like a really good company. I mean, were they perfect? No.
Sure.
But his checks were signed by Herbert E. Butt because it is the Butt family. B-U-T-T. Herbert E. Butt. But H-E-B is just, I mean, it's magical. All of their like store brand stuff is so good. Their prices are so good. It's like mostly, I think, a pretty legit company as far as capitalism goes.
Sure.
So anyway, the Butt family, H-E-B, and the H-E Butt Foundation donated $5 million for the flood recovery efforts. Additionally, and I pulled some of this from their press release, they also committed gifts to multiple nonprofits, American Red Cross, Texas Search and Rescue, Salvation Army, distributed a bunch of gift cards throughout impacted communities to school districts, nonprofits. They deployed their mobile kitchen, distributed some different supplies and provisions. They call their employees partners, which is like so cute because it's like such a text line. Hi, partner.
Hey, partner.
So their partners from across the company are also serving other hard-hit communities. Partners are providing meals, gift cards, food, water. And of course, for impacted partners, they are offering, counseling, financial assistance. So yeah, I mean, there have been some photos going viral of just all of the H-E-B disaster relief trucks like headed down the road. They are from Kerrville, Texas originally. And so this is in their area of where they came from. So it's nice seeing companies step up and use their profit and resources for good.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. Mine's just a funny little silly to round us out. Russell is a Eurasian crow.
Okay, Russell.
Not
Russell Crowe.
No. Why the fuck didn't I not
that
put
has to be what
that has to
Russell.
be it. You've got to be kidding me. I didn't even think about that.
Oh my
So
God.
Russell is this little crow, and he was an orphaned juvenile bird when a Danish family rehabilitated him and saw him through his fledgling stage, whatever. So Russell just kind of comes as he goes. Like, he's not a house bird. He be flying, whatever.
Free man.
But he is just stricken with this family's little boy, Otto. He's like a little toddler, like in kindergarten. Russell often visits the family. Like, he'll be gone, and then they'll come back, and this little freaking bird is just, like, sitting on their couch, knocking on the door, on the roof,
Where's
just,
my
like,
friend?
waiting for this little boy. It is just gorgeous. It's so
love
cute.
it. Okay, I'm going to need to look up some footage.
He's really cute. He just, like, sits on the roof and waits for this little boy to come home from school. And they just love him, and they're so happy that he just comes back because he bonded with them. So he kind of returns and comes back, which is cute.
Guess what, guys? Birds have feelings too.
Birds have feelings.
Including the ones that you're eating. Sorry, I had to say it.
Well, that's it for this time. Please don't eat birds.
Please don't eat birds. Okay, love you guys.
Bye.
This has been another episode of But For Real, produced by Valerie Martin and Emerson Ryder and edited by Sean Conklin.
But For Real is a Gaia Center production. The Gaia Center offers individual, couples, and group therapy for clients across Tennessee and in person in our Nashville office, as well as coaching for clients worldwide. For show notes or to learn more about our work, visit GaiaCenter.co or find us on Instagram at the Gaia Center and at butforrealpod.
But For Real is intended for education and entertainment and is not a substitute for mental health treatment.
Also, since we host this podcast primarily as humans rather than clinicians, we are not shy here about sharing our opinions on everything from snacks and movies to politicians and social issues.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode.
See you next time, bestie.